Well, a very, very happy Wednesday to you guys all. Happy May the 4th, you guys. And listen, that redundant statement of May the 4th. Of course, listen, May 4th, congratulations. Go enjoy yourself. Watch a series of Star Wars. While you guys do that, though, before you guys do that, stop on in, say hi to me. Let's talk some sports, and let's get you guys down here and informative on a very, very happy and exciting Wednesday. The weather, it looks a little cloudy. It's not going to be too warm, not going to be too hot, not too cold either. So we have a lot of things to get down. Okay, so Trey is still out. He'll be out until at least next week. He should be returning next week, from my understanding. But he is still out now. So Trey's out. I want to just first of all throw out there and say thank you to everyone who has been supportive in the things that happened last week. I know that last Wednesday there wasn't a show last Wednesday, and that is because my my grandfather passed away last Monday. So a little rough start to the week. We got a couple of days done. Wednesday was kind of lost in the air, and so didn't do a show on Wednesday. Came back and did a certain show on Sunday. Like I said, it is a different atmosphere when you do a show live by yourself. There's no one else around here in the production studio to sit here and kind of help you out. So when you're putting this together all by yourself, and then you want to go out and put out 2 hours of content, it's a little bit more difficult to maintain compared to where if you had a guy, you had your co-host and Trey, and like I said, there's nothing towards Trey. He's out on vacation. I'm gonna let that be. That's fine by me. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about is just trying to come in here and put the best product out there to you guys. If you guys are watching us and you guys said, "Hey, Justin, what's going on with you guys? This audio streaming. I haven't seen an episode popped up because you guys enjoy taking it." Well, that is because we recently also moved over to Spreaker, thanks to Steve Barber and the Armchair Booking. One thing I love about doing stuff like this is to be able to elaborate and share ideas and what works and what doesn't work with another podcast, radio show, whatever the case may be. And recently, Steve and I was chatting away, and he was like, man, if you really want to get the bang for your buck and you really want to spread out, because it's all about growing, you got to get yourself a hold of Spreaker. So I checked out Spreaker, and we just started putting out our shows starting last week on Spreaker. Now it's a little bit more of a process to do because for me, and Steve on Armchair Booking can testify to that because you have to download each and every episode, and that's just what usually for our old publications we would download, upload. There you go. You would get the 2 hours commercial included, and you don't have to worry about that. The only difference is that with Spreaker, especially if you wanted to, I say start making a turnaround profit off of it, you have to implement their ad breaks that they would play. Well, you can't add breaks. You can't do the 2.5-minute breaks that we have on top of what they have. It's just, I'm not saying I can. It just doesn't make sense. I think it will lose a lot of interest. If what I need to do is go in and cut out our breaks here from that we do on our show, and then I could fill those slots in with the breaks that Spreaker has. Okay, those ad breaks. So there is a few more steps that has to be taken in order to publish our audio shows. Okay, you have to download the episode. All right, pop it up on a video editor or an audio editor, Audacity, wherever you guys wanted to get it. I use the free version of a simple. Let me see what I use. I use VideoPad, I believe. It's called VideoPad, video editor. And I just use their free version. I upload my my video audio. I coming down, I spread it out, and I clip the breaks, and it just takes a few minutes, right? Because since once you clip it, then you got to save it and re-download it, or basically enable it, and then you got to upload it to Spreaker. They have to approve of it, which could take it's about 10-15 minutes to approve of that before you could go back in and add those breaks. Now then you have to go back in and find out, all right, where did I take a break from? Because it all changes. So it's a little bit more process, but I enjoy it. I think that after I get used to it, it becomes a repetition. I think it would be more beneficial. So we are on Spreaker, and what does Spreaker allow us to do? Well, it allows us to advance our broadcast range. Now, we were on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Now, the only thing different here is that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I could check for you guys, that Google Podcast is still pending for whatever reason. Don't ask me why. Yeah, for some reason it says still pending. It says here that it could take a couple of weeks for it to approve. Now, I don't know what the big issue is, but it won't let me do nothing else saying other than just wait. But we are on Apple Podcast, we on Spreaker, we on Spotify, iHeartRadio now, which I knew that there was a lot of issues, and I've talked with Steve over at Armchair Booking plenty of times, and how many issues that he's ran into, and there was it was kind of there was a demotivation for wanting to like wanting to try to upload your audio to iHeartRadio, because it's like you can't get nothing through iHeartRadio unless you go through specific applications. Because I remember hearing all the time how Steve and Armchair Booking kept on putting up their podcast, and it's just nothing would put up on iHeartRadio. But then you get out things like Deezer, Podcast Addict, GeoSav. I don't know. I can't pronounce some of these. I don't even know half of these distributors. Okay. I'm working on getting Amazon Apple or Amazon Music, putting it up there. I don't know that process, but just from 3 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different applications. I'm still assuming that we're on Podbean, whatever that they also offer for podcasting. So it's new. You get and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what it takes. Now, I think the one thing that sucks is that, like I said, it's a process. If you guys are listening to this for the first time, and this is the first time that you're hearing about Spreaker, go over to it's a TNC Sports Talk. Don't get it mixed up. The last episode on our last channel was April 23rd. Okay. I have not posted up a new one on the old one. Go find our new one. I know it's new, but find it. If you need me to send you the link, I'll send you the link. I've been posting it up on social media about every other day, and I'll do it again today after our show so that people can find our show. And so, go out there, subscribe, follow, and then re-listen to us, because I know people are listening to us. And then while you're over there, check out our social media pages and get right into the action. Let's talk about some sports. So, but anyways, we are back at it again. Like I said, it's just going to be me, myself, and I. You guys are going to listen to my lovely voice for the next, I don't know, week and a half. And we'll be back today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Time still to be determined. I'm pretty sure it's going to still be a 10 to noon, maybe an 8 to 10. I don't know precisely, but we will find out. And we have some sports to cover. A little bit of baseball, a little bit of football, a little bit of Stanley Cup, a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of NBA playoffs. So there's a lot that is going down here in the world of sports that I want to get underway and get you guys updated on. Now, here's the thing. I was trying to figure out this morning. I was putting stories together. I was like, where am I going to start in our show today? Now, I could talk about the Reds losing. Okay. I mean, they lost 6-3, and I think I want to get into that. I could talk about how a tweet came out yesterday about Reds fans having enough and saying, all right, during the May 6th game against the Pirates, I will be scaling the wall to defecate in the bed of the Toyota Tundra. If anyone takes a photo of me, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, there's a guy that has tweeted about he wants to poop at the Great American Ballpark's Toyota Tundra because and to kind of illustrate how the Reds feel with how the Reds fans feel about the Reds season. I could start there. We could talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. We could talk about, I don't know, we could talk about NHL. I thought personally, though, a great way to start off the show is about giving congratulations, because it's a rarity, the fact that some people, or not, I don't want to say some people, but it's a rarity that people make history. And MLB, we saw history yet again. And so I really do want to share this with you. So bear with me here as it wants to load. Now, I don't know how much you guys are familiarized with baseball. Okay, come on. Pause it. Thank you. Back it up. No, right there. Thank you. All right. I don't know how well you guys are familiarized in baseball, but to kick things off, we had Dusty Baker, who joined, as of last night, he joined the 2,000 win club for manager wins. And I thought that was, that came across my table this morning, and I thought that was pretty incredible. So at this time, I like to share some of the audio that is given.
He got him. Astros win 4-0, and there it is. Dusty Baker, career win number 2,000 as a manager. His much anticipated place in Cooperstown is now solidified.
And that is the audio. That is the broadcast team from the Houston Astros after the Astros beat the Seattle Mariners 4-0 last night. For Baker, he's 72 years old, and he becomes the 12th American League National League manager to reach 2,000 wins, and the first black manager as the Astros beat the Mariners 4-0. I'm in May Park. All right. The previous 11 managers have reached 2,000's career victory. 10 of them are all Hall of Famers. The only one who isn't is Bruce Bochy. He's had 2,003 wins. Now, Bruce Bochy, he recently just stepped away from managing the San Francisco Giants a while back, but he's just not eligible yet. But I'm very sure that Bruce Bochy will get into the Hall of Fame, and when he does, I know Dusty Baker will also solidify his Hall of Fame era. Now, I want to share a little bit more about this, because it's not just about the 2,000 win club here. All right, you also gotta we have to consider this. Yeah, let's take a look at this 11 other men that have joined that club, and it's really a remarkable club. Okay, and there's some history to be shared for Dusty Baker. And I apologize here for the moment, because I had things popped up ready to go, and then when the computer just says, nope, I'm going to shut down completely, and it's like, okay, where did everything go? All right, so let me just figure out where I'm at. So there's some historical facts, I'll put it that way, for Dusty Baker. All right, All right. So let me just scroll right back up to the top of this article. Listen, I mean, hands down, Dusty Baker is probably one of the greatest managers that I've really enjoyed in my time here in my history here. But he joins 11 other people in managing ball clubs. Okay. First one, Bobby Cox, or no, not the first. First one was Connie Mack. Connie Mack had 3,731 wins, and he finished off the season under 500, but he finished off his career under 500, but he his lifetime game, he won his 2000 on May 10, 1926, and I thought that was still a pretty incredible on his end. As we look at this league, there we go. Get everything back up to normal here. Right. Max 3,731 wins in 53 seasons, almost 1,000 more than any other skipper in the grand old man of baseball. Spent 3 years as a player for the Pirates, and then in 2001, American League founded Ben Johnson asked Mack to establish the Philadelphia Athletics. Over the course of 50-year tenure, the outlasted of 8 U.S. presidents. The technical led the A's to a 9 AL pennant and 5 World Series titles. All right, that's coming at number 1. Coming at number 2 is Tony La Russa, 2,828. I'm gonna look at that number. From 3,731. I don't think anyone's gonna reach Connie Mack anytime soon. To 2,828 for Tony La Russa. La Russa, in his second season of his second stint with the White Sox, whom he got his managerial start in 1979, after lending the White Sox as part of 8 seasons, he went to manage parts of a 10-year with the A's and 16 full years with the Cardinals. Along the way, he's captured 6 pennants and 3 World Series titles and has been named Manager of the Year 4 times. Coming in at number 3, you got John Mcgraw with 2,763. Bobby Cox coming in at number 4, 2,504 wins. Still very impressive. And that one's more recent. He got his 2,000th win on September 29, 2004. That's the first year that Petco Park opened up for San Diego. Joe Torre, 2,326 wins. Done it on June 7, 2007. Sparky Anderson, 2,194 wins. Bucky Harris. Now I feel old. The fact that I can name some of these guys and I can remember who they are. Joe McCarthy, 2,125. You never think of this as a manager, as a fan. How often do you think about these guys, winning ball games and how the significance of these guys winning those ball games? I'm like, that's just something different. So I want to congratulate Dusty Baker for winning his 2,000th win as a manager. He joins a lot of great legends of all there, and he has already solidified. I'm certain that he solidified his Hall of Fame induction when his time comes. But hey, we're just getting underway here on a Wednesday morning. I wanted to share off with some great news because when we come back, I got to unfortunately break down yet again another loss that the Reds had last night against the Milwaukee Brewers. Is there positives that you could take away from it, or is it negatives that you could take away from it? I don't know. We'll find that out. The Reds and the Brewers will play today at 7:40. We're also going to take a dive into the NBA playoffs as the Warriors lost to the Grizzlies last night, 106-101. John Morant being that highlight of the game. We'll break all that down for you as well. The Celtics and the Bucks as well. I told you this was going to be a big game. The Celtics needed to win this one to tie the series well, you know what? They pull through. NHL, all right. The Stanley Cup playoffs started. A couple games going on. I'll get you up to date on all of that. Plus, we're going to get into some wrestling talk here. I want to give you the comparison between WWE releases that they made last weekend and some of AEW's releases that they made yesterday. WrestleMania Backlash is set to do up, so we have a lot to come your way. Justin and Trey is given to you thanks to StreamYard Studios, where you could create your podcast, videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews. Check out the free version at StreamYard.com. The Justin and Trey will continue on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, you guys. Thank you guys for tuning us in on a Wednesday morning, wherever you guys are choosing from. Thank you for listening to Justin and Trey right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Listen, this is when our show decided that we were going to change our direction on some of the show conversations that we're going to have and do more local, Cincinnati stuff, Northern Kentucky. We didn't expect, I didn't come into this expecting just how terrible those Cincinnati Reds are this year. And it makes it difficult to kind of follow them and to kind of support about them. After a while, you don't want to be that guy who just keeps conducting barrel bad news. I don't like doing it. And yet again, you start running out of conversations and topics to have when it comes down to the Reds and how they're losing. I mean, I believe they're 3-20 so far in the season. One of the worst records. I read a couple articles that I don't have with me, but it was showing me something like, the last worst record that they've lost 100 games was probably like back in the 1900s, long time ago. If you guys know that statistic, please share with me what you have. But I mean, they lose again last night, 3-6, and I could tell you the reason why they're losing 3-6 is because I feel that right when your starting rotation is only as good as a guy like Tyler Mahle. And no disrespect to Tyler Mahle, he hasn't done anything bad, but when you're trying to view him as an ace pitcher and he's not at that level yet, all right? That's not what his role for the organization is. He's not there to be your ace pitcher, on every fifth day. You need him, that's what guys like Luis Castillo, that's what guys like Mike Minor that comes into place. And you're seeing the effect. Tyler Mahle, 3 in the third inning last night, 4 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, allowed 1 home run. Now, listen, the Reds had a day off back on Monday. I thought that was beneficial because the bullpen, 4 2/3 of innings of work. This is you wonder why your bullpen at the end of a series is so drained. It's because day one, after you get off, as soon as you get done with a day off, okay, and you get your first day back at the job, you got to have 4 pitchers go 4 innings for you, okay. You're pitching over half the ball game, and that's just not, and especially out of a pitcher like Tyler Mahle, who you expect to have a little bit more. You kind of expect a little bit more out of Tyler Mahle. That bullpen didn't look terrible though last night. They went 4 2/3, only gave up 2 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, but 5 strikeouts. Definitely for me, better combination over the starting pitcher of them all. And listen, when you give up 5 runs in the early innings, that's hard to come off of. You think about it, he didn't get out of 4 innings. Tyler Mahle, we're on May 4th now. And Tyler Mahle didn't get out of 4 innings. All right. The Reds just keep on, finding depression in the rotation. And then by the time they finally by the time the rotation could get back on a streak where they could go solid 4, 5, 6 innings, that bullpen is exhausted and needs a couple of days off. My question is at what point do we sit there and say, all right, we need to make a move to add an additional, not to the bullpen, to the starting rotation, because you need some guys in the rotation to build confidence and, guys that could go 4 or 5 innings. Now all 30 teams had back on Monday had a change from 28 to 26 players. Some guys gotten, DFA'd. All right. Does the Reds go out there and look for some of these players? But they need some help, because Luis Castillo and Mike Minor, I'm sure, is not going to be able to change this rotation around when they come back, if they come back in May. Remember, these guys were supposed to come back in April. That didn't happen. They were supposed to come back in the mid of April, and we were supposed to get them back around the April 22nd, April 23rd. Now they're expected not to come back until mid-May. And hell, you monsters shoot that until June. You're telling me that Jose Barrero, who had wrist surgery back in spring training, at the end of spring training, let's not forget about that, he's scheduled to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, not supposed to come back until towards the end of May. He's going to come back before Luis Castillo and Mike Minor, who have not had any significant injuries. What did they do during the offseason? It's interesting, too, because you talk about, everything that acquired yesterday. Tommy Pham, I mean, one of the highlights I was reading here was saying that, and I laughed when I was reading this. I was like, are you serious? Like, don't tell me that this is an article that you're reading. It was, I'm cleaning it up here because it's nice when you get a chance to clean up your browser to free up some space. It says Fest step up as Pham flirts with a cycle and moves home runs. Well, congratulations to Tommy Pham for trying to hit a cycle. But that obviously Tommy Pham, I'm sorry, if you did hit a cycle, we would have won the ball game. But that's not the case. A lot of woes seem to happen against Cincinnati as of late. It seems like ever since they started that home opener against Cleveland, things are just not gone their way. And I don't know if that's intentionally. I don't know if that's just, superstitious. When you have your owners going out there and calling for the players' heads and saying, hey, listen, hey, fans, by the way, you guys are going to root for us regardless if you like it or not. That's where I find a problem. Tommy Pham, Mike Moustakas, that's the only thing I think I liked about last night's game is that they went back-to-back home runs. Okay, they were down 3-0. Tommy Pham takes it opposite field to right field and it goes solo, and then followed by that is Mike Moustakas. I'm okay with that. Okay, I guess on a parent note, you have to be okay with that. Okay, but here's where the woes continue. All right. Tyler Stevenson, I remember him back against the San Diego Padres. Remember that collision back in San Diego where where Luke Vogt, I believe it was a Tuesday night, if I'm not mistaken, Tuesday or Wednesday night. Luke Vogt was coming home. Maybe it was Monday. Anyways, Tyler Stevenson and Luke Vogt had a collision at the plate. And Tyler Stevenson's been out for 2 weeks with a concussion protocol. And I get that, but he's an inclusive bat to the organization. All right, but just because Tyler Stevens comes up, I mean, Joey Votto goes down with COVID injuries. Coming out of yesterday's game, the Reds started their Tuesday with a loss. One of the clubhouse leaders, as Joey Votto, was placed on the COVID injury list. Votto was has torched the Brewers on the road over his careers, hitting an impressive 312. So now your key bats that you need in this series is out the window with Joey Votto. 21 home runs, 65 RBIs. Now, hey, listen, I mean, although we see Joey Votto out, all right, I mean, Tommy Pham, Mike Moustakas went back-to-back. They still didn't have enough what it takes. I mean, David Bell, this is what he has to say. We are where we are, and the only way to handle it is to face it head on and continue to do your job. Where are they? Because they're not even on the map. It feels like they haven't even started their season. Have they started their season yet? I don't see it. Pham went 3 for 4, finished with the triple shy of the cycle. Moustakas finished 2 for 4 with 1 double and a home run with 2 RBIs. Not impressive. I mean, it was good offensively, but then it goes right back around to your starting pitcher who gave up 5 runs in less than 4 innings. So, I mean, and they go back-to-back home runs, and I was watching the highlights. Pham and Moustakas is all cheering in the dugout, and it's one of those moments. It brings me back to a Moneyball moment. Okay, exactly where do you find it exciting to lose a ball game? I don't care who you are, but where do you find it exciting to lose a ball game? Please let me know. Now we got to look into today's game. The game 2, all right, Reds has Vladimir Gutierrez out on the mound. He's 0 for 4, 7.41 ERA. Milwaukee Brewers have Freddie Peralta. He's 0 for 1 with the 5 ERA. No, I mean, listen, Freddie Peralta, I don't think is going to be anything special, but you don't have to wait that Vladimir Gutierrez will help Freddie look good in tonight's game. It's at the point. Like, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but do I start sitting there and start rooting against the Cincinnati Reds for things that they're not doing? Or hopefully that my negativity could rub off on some wins that they can finally accumulate? Or do we just sit there and say, oh, well, this is the inevitable season, let's talk positive about the Reds? There's nothing fun to talk about them right now. There's not. I mean, like I mentioned before our break here, all right, there was a tweet, and now there's an article here from Marja Zomo back on Tuesday, yesterday at 12:36 p.m. Cincinnati Reds fan says he wants to poop on Great American Ballpark on the Toyota Tundra. Do you blame him? All right, to say it has been a shitty Reds season so far would be an understatement. And one of the fans have plans to take a little shitty. I mean, listen, that would be just dreadful. A post reads, during the Friday's May 6th game against the Pirates, I will be scaling the wall to defecate in the bed of the Toyota Tundra. If anyone could take a photo of me, I'd appreciate it. Also, if anyone's down to also shit in the bed, pardon my French, I'm just reading the quote, meet me under the smokestacks in the top of the 4th inning. Cheers. Okay. Let's just first off and say, how stupid can you get? I'm at this point where, the season's going terrible for the Reds. I'm not even at this point where, hey, this fan wants to go ahead and take a dumper on the Toyota Tundra. Hey, do what you want to do. I'm not doing it. I mean, I have a little bit better head on my shoulders. I'm not doing it, but you want to do it. Hey, have at it. Enjoy yourself. But to be able to be that descriptive of, hey, does people want to do it with me? Let's go take a pooping party together. That's phenomenal. To be stupid enough to say something where now security from at Great American Ballpark is going to be looking out for you. I just don't make sense. All right, we got to take a break here. When we come back, we got some NFL news. Cincinnati Bengals, a couple of things going on for the Bengals side of things as we wrap up here on these sports. I want to just touch base again. Council votes to approve the new Bengals practice facility. I thought that was pretty incredible. One of the fewest teams left to have an indoor practice stadium. It's going to be an inflatable. I'll describe more about that as well. All right. A man is already, okay, is it time that we stop heckling Baker Mayfield? Okay. The slander needs to stop. Coming from Spokescadia, we'll read that article coming back. Also, a brief reaction from the director of college scouting. So we'll come all that way. We have 2 hours for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning in to Justin and Trey. We'll be right back here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Hi, you guys. You guys can shop TNC Sports Talk merchandise today at TeePublic. Get your t-shirts, phone cases, mugs, and more. Grab your favorite sports talk show gear today by heading on over to tpublic.com/user/TNC-sports-talk. Order now. I also like to remind everyone that today's show is brought to you in part by Manscaped. TNC Sports Talk is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Excuse me. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer. Today, you guys can save 20% off plus free worldwide shipping, you guys, with promo code TNC20 at manscaped.com. That is 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with promo code TNC20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job at Manscaped. All right. You know, it's interesting today. Some happy news has to come away from the world of baseball, and you know, just a little bit up north from Cincinnati is Cleveland and the Cleveland Guardians, okay, which I'm still getting used to seeing that name. You guys bear with me. But the Cleveland Guardians are facing the San Diego Padres, and you're like, well, Justin, what does that have to do with anything? You're talking nonsense here. Yeah, that is correct. I am talking nonsense. But, you know, former Cleveland Guardian pitcher Mike Clevenger, it will be getting his 2022 start today. Let's put that out there. And the reason why this is such a big deal, this is his first start. So he got traded to the Padres during the pandemic. Then he had to go into Tommy John surgery. Didn't pitch all last season. Got off to, he didn't even pitch so far this season. He was scheduled to start opening day. Well, I wouldn't want to say start opening day, but to be on the main roster opening day. He never got that opportunity. He started getting a flare. He started flaring up in the, I believe in his shoulder or in his arm. And so they had to send him back down. And he's been down in the minor leagues. He's had a couple of good outings in Lake Elsinore, went up to San Amarillo for the Sod Poodles, and then El Paso faced with the Chihuahuas. Well, now he's finally getting the nod. And what other way to do it? He was supposed to get the starting pitching. We were supposed to get the nod for yesterday against the Guardians in game one of a 2-game, series. But yesterday was rained out, so they're going to be playing a doubleheader today. First game starts out here at 1:10. So I encourage you, if you guys could find the game to listen to, check out, because Mike Clevenger, since Tommy John surgery, his first major league debut since Tommy John surgery, is coming your way. Coming your way here since in Cleveland, and so just a little FYI and notation on that. While we're talking about just miscellaneous stuff to get through, before I want to forget, I want to say I wish Pat McAfee an early belated happy birthday. All right. Now I was watching this show on Monday. Apparently he had his birthday. I want to say was it Monday, I believe. And so they were just celebrating it. It was either yesterday or Monday. He turned 35, and man, he's kind of a big success. He's a big inspiration to the talk show business. To be able to do, to be able to play a professional sport, take the criticism, turn it around, create a talk show on YouTube, and look where he's at today. One of the most viewed seen. He's up there with Undisputed. He's up there with Cowherd and all of that stuff. So happy belated birthday to Pat McAfee. Now, we could also enjoy as wrestling fans every Friday night, and I'm sure we'll get into that conversation. All right. You guys want to know stuff about Cincinnati Bengals and update their news? We'll talk about all of that here right after this. You guys can check out Steve Barber, Dwaylen Davis as they break down news and highlights of professional wrestling. The Armchair Booking Podcast is a weekly wrestling podcast found on YouTube and all audio streaming platforms. Go check out and follow Armchair Booking today. All right. Cincinnati news, just breaking right down to it. Cincinnati has had has now just been approved for a indoor practice facility. One of the few teams that yet to have an indoor practice facility. The Cincinnati City Council voted to approve plans for a Bengals practice facility for 7 acres of land on Mirroring Way. Okay. And the approval authorized the Bengals to use 621W Mirroring Way as an interim indoor practice facility, notwithstanding certain development regulations and use limitations about flooding and riverfront districts and zoning regulations for the area that might prevent development. Okay. Let me just get out of that. You get these pop-ups all the time. Something happens. Bengals are one of the very few NFL teams without the indoor practice facility. Bengals' only practice facility is outdoors, is next to Paul Brown Stadium. The proposed plan, calls for a removable and inflatable 75-foot high synthetic air dome that attaches to the concrete footer, which will house a regulation size interior turf practice field for the Bengals players and staff. The exterior will be paved and included an 8-foot security fence and 187 parking spaces. All right. And I think, first of all, I want to say this I feel is a tremendous thing that the Bengals and the city of Cincinnati is going to be able to give them. And it's one of those things where you win games, you bring championships back to Cincinnati, and I'm sure, the city is finally probably sold. Okay. For the first, I don't know when the last time Cincinnati was invested. I know the fans are invested highly into the Bengals, probably definitely more so than the Reds, but it's one thing to get the fan base behind you because it's the local team. It's all right. Here, I have to root for them. It's baseball season time. When college football ends on Saturday, I got something to do on Sunday. Well, for me, I also feel like I feel like for the Bengals, it's also an importance to convince the city that, hey, this is the product that we are giving you, the city, the fans. This is what we're going to bring in, because I have guys like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and this is what we need. All right. This is what we need to be successful. And this is why we are being successful. So I feel like that the Cincinnati is at the point where they are convinced that what the Bengals are doing and their product that they're putting out on the field is going to be successful. Therefore, they're willing to invest money, space, and time into the Bengals. Now, if the Bengals were sitting at 3-16 on the season, or 3-15 on the season, then that's a no-brainer. No, we're not going to invest a single penny into you. Okay, let's look at when the Chargers wanted a new stadium. One of the focus points when the Chargers left San Diego is because the city didn't want to pay them a stadium. Now it wasn't like they had terrible product on the field, but you weren't bringing the revenue. You weren't selling out games, and I feel like this is an opportunity for the city of Cincinnati to advance, because during the offseason, this is a practice facility, but now you could utilize the riverfront in this area of practice area that has been, it's kind of been split between the Bengals practice area and some construction. Well, the construction is already looking for a new place to go. I think they're going to be getting that. So now this is all going to be Cincinnati, and for the Bengals, you could use this for outdoor events. Okay, let's have other sporting events there. I feel like this is a great opportunity for the Cincinnati Bengals and for the city of Cincinnati itself to be getting underway. We want to talk more great things coming out for Cincinnati. Let's talk about some positive things. We already know that the Bengals draft was not terrible, and I'll get to that in a moment. But the Bengals just re-signed punter Kevin Huber for the 2022 season. I think that's a pretty good statement that can be made. And I really, and listen, when you can, and I really feel, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not saying that they made the biggest splash in this offseason, but the Bengals, for me, has taken the proper steps to having a successful offseason. They're taking the proper steps to give themselves a better chance to go that extra distance. They haven't changed too much up front. All right, yeah, I think the biggest downgrade that the Bengals have had this offseason, is getting rid of CJ Uzomah, who is really a passionate guy about that. But otherwise, I mean, they went out and they picked up a couple of linemen that they needed. Some, listen, I don't know if they really, maybe they didn't have a lineman in the draft that they were thinking about. They went to go sign some free agents, and then they went back in and they ended up drafting, I think what they're calling it, the defense #defense 2022 for the Bengals. So now there's kind of cleaning up some edges. All right, can we better this? I don't think you got to worry about punting. Kevin Huber is perfectly fine. You could get him at a reasonable price. It's not going to overload your pockets. So Kevin Huber, great stuff. All right. So one thing I wanted to get into is that not Kevin. Oh, who am I kidding? No, I didn't want to do that. See, this all things are starting to unravel here towards the top of the hour. So one thing I also wanted to get inside here is that Mike Potts, the director of the college scouting, is looking at the Bengals list of drafted players on Monday, and he reacted to them, or reacted over the last 48 hours. So he kind of takes a little statement to this draft that they recently picked up. All right, let's go over the draft really fast. You got to think of a Michigan safety, Dax Hill, 2nd round. Okay, Nebraska's cornerback Cam Taylor-Britt, 3rd round. Florida defensive tackle Zachary Carter, 4th round. All right, North Dakota State guard Cordell Volson, 5th round. Toledo cornerback Tyson Anderson, and then the 7th round. All right, Coastal Carolina edge rusher Jeffrey Gunter. Now you got to remember, you guys, this is a team that had 8 picks. They drafted up for 2 to get 6, and they really confident in what they're getting after. And according to Mike Potts, okay, here's how he wants to weigh in. He says, if you get an injury at end, you can kick Zach Carter out there, Potts says. An injury at safety, Cam Taylor-Britt can play there. Dax Hill, first position safety or nickel cornerback. But if you need him for 2 weeks, maybe he can go outside corner. Versatility right there. I could tell you off of that, especially Dax Hill, that they were so confident in that they picked up in the 1st round. Volson starts out at a guard, and if we needed to and if we're dinged at right tackle, he can go out there too. Versatility, that's the key for these guys coming out of college. Tyson Anderson may start off out as a safety, but look at Trey Flowers. He can cover tight end, and he can probably play some outside corner. This guy Gunter could be a 3-for-4 backer, or could drop in space, or could play it in a tighter alignment if you got dinged up in the certain spots. The username of the Bengals draft this year. Okay, this is what Pot says. The username for the Bengals draft is defense 2020-22. And the password is versatility. And I think that's one thing. Although they don't have the spectacular numbers to give it out there, I think that's one thing that you have to throw in the sense is that they have the versatility. I think that these guys, especially knowing the system, knowing the process and how these Bengals are planning on, utilizing them this season and where the Bengals are at and what they're trying to get to, I feel like this is where the versatility really helps. All right. Director of pro scouting Steven Radigovic, and the rest of the director of player personnel Duke Tobin's staff have hardly signed on what happened over the weekend, despite picking so deeply in spots reversed for the AFC Championship. So, listen, and I also believe this is the first time in many years that the Bengals have had to, okay, you play well, now you're going to go back down. All right, you got lower picks, and unless you're willing to give something up, and if you're this close, you guys, if you're this close, why give up? Why give up so many players? They gave up Osama, really the only key guy that I'm aware of. We didn't have a ton of glaring needs as we were able to sit back and take guys that we liked. And when there were guys that we really liked, we were aggressive. Your needs right now aren't necessarily going to be our needs 4 months from down the road. That's why you take the best player available. We got depth. We got good depth. And yes, they do. I could testify to that. We're more athletic and a lot faster. And the versatility is huge, which I agree. And I will leave it on there. So, I mean, I'll let you weigh in your opinions here. But did you think that the Cincinnati Bengals did good in the draft? I mean, maybe it's not the guys that you were anticipated. I know a lot of fans wanted offensive linemen to be more drafted. They only settled for one. But what was the secondary option? If you didn't, if you didn't really like an offensive lineman, why are you picking up guys you don't like? So what did the Bengals do? They went for the second option, which they know they need help on the defensive side. They need depth on the defensive side, and I think that's what they got. They got a tremendous amount of depth. All right, we're going to take a break, wrap up this hour. Hour number 2 coming up next, Justin and Trey. We still have to talk about the NBA and the NHL playoffs as they are underway. But and then we still need to talk about some of getting ready for WrestleMania Backlash. I want to talk about the WWE releases for key talents. I also want to talk to you a little bit about some other things. I don't know how much we'll get to here, but with that being said, let's take a break. But coming up next, all right, I want to finish off football conversations here, because coming up next, the slander needs to stop. The NFL insider defends Baker Mayfield, and we'll hear why here coming up next. Justin and Trey, hour number 2 coming up here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Me from my winter hell. I've got candles and candy. I can be your daddy if you only let me creep into your prison cell. Hey baby, can you tell?
Justin and Trey continues here on hour number 2 here. Like I said, Trey is out for vacation. He's down in Florida, and he'll be back hopefully next week. But we're just gonna have fun here and try to get you as much news and highlights as possible. Now, I wanted to find this. I just wanted to see where I can find it here. If I have anything popped up. I don't think so. No. Okay. No, I don't have anything popped up. I wanted to give you something, you guys could read off of. But okay, I really do want to get to this story here on hour number 2 to finish off in football. The Sportskeeda NFL insider goes to defense for Baker Mayfield. And, I know that for a while we have been really hashing and getting on Baker Mayfield's case and claims about, what he wants to do. Now, I personally feel that Baker Mayfield, he has too much social media on him right now. And for a team like the Browns who don't need that social media bearing him. And I feel like this has really started ever since Odell Beckham Jr. made his complaints. Baker Mayfield gets defenses. He gets defensive a lot towards his case. He jumps to conclusions, and he tries to beat the bag to the punch before, anything happens. And one of the biggest offseason stories has been Baker Mayfield, after hearing and after seeing Deshaun Watson come to Cleveland Browns, he's like, oh, well, I'm going to get traded. That's it. What team wants me? What's the deal with that? I'm no good for Cleveland. They don't like me. But you know what, man? Just at some point, we talked with Alex Biaggi a couple weeks ago. He is a NFL. Well, he's not NFL. He's a scouting draft agent. He works with some of the guys. He had a couple of guys in the draft, and I'm actually intrigued. I want to reach back out to him to see how his guys went. But these guys went out. Some of these teams, they want you just to go out there, put your tail between the legs, and play the football game. I mean, he's nothing. I'm not saying that he's a bad quarterback. He's not a Tom Brady status where he could go out there, say what he wants to say, and the world's going to stop and pay attention to him. According to the NFL Insider from Sports KD, you can find this on our Facebook page. Baker Mayfield has had his name dragged through the mud by the media this offseason, and yes, respectfully do so. And I would say Justin and Trey, TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel, is one of the teams that has done that. Okay, the quarterback has seen this stock plummet from the greatest heights of 2020's peak to lead the Cleveland Browns to the first person. I think that a lot of people need to forget about this. I mean, a lot of people ask, why are we just throwing this out there? Jordan Raanan from New York Giants beat writer for ESPN spoke out against the slander, acknowledging his shortcomings while also giving him props for the success thus this far in his career. The Browns didn't have a great career great season last year. They didn't make it to the postseason last year. Matter of fact, I think a lot of people forget, and I feel like that the fans are quick to throw that that judgment out there. Hey, you didn't play to your potential. Well, you suck. This is not the case. In a report, all right. This is from Jordan Raanan, all right. He tweeted out, and I quote, "Man, the Baker Mayfield slander needs to stop. He went in an organization that was all-time bad, set TD records for rookies, helped turn them around, made playoffs, won playoff games, and was hurt last year. Has limitations, but deserves respect." And I will say that even a guy like me, I will admit that there's sometimes you don't acknowledge the success that he has had in the short period of time. Remember, he comes off, the Browns are one of those teams that did the trial and error with different quarterbacks. They started with Johnny Manziel, and that didn't work out. They invest their time into Baker Mayfield. And what did he do as a rookie? He set records. He did. He was a spokesperson. They became close to winning. They gave him a year, and the next year, what did they do? They went to go beat Pittsburgh twice. One at home, one on the road in the postseason, in the wild card. And yeah, I get it. Okay, it was under, oppression of a short season, but he's led this franchise around. He did help create the Browns and their conversation of him. Hey, a year ago, this was going to be a huge, huge division, and it still could be. Baker Mayfield has been targeted by Colin Cowherd. Others this offseason. The unhappy quarterback appeared on the Y'all Never Know podcast. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, pardon me. Excuse me. Apologize for that. The Browns famously broke record when they traded Let me restart this paragraph. The unhappy quarterback appeared in Y'all Never Know podcast criticizing the Browns handling of their quarterback situation this offseason. And when they're talking about this, the Browns famously broke record when they traded for his replacement. All right, assuming that this was his replacement, Deshaun Watson, extending him for a $230 million contract over 5 years. All right, so I mean, can you rightfully assume that if you're Baker Mayfield, you just got done selling, you just found a team that is willing to invest time, money, effort into you? Excuse me. And you finally say, okay, now I got hurt 1 year, but that's not it. Don't derail me. I got to go get surgery. I'm going to get surgery. I'm going to come back better. But now when I come back, all right, there's a quarterback that you're just signing a mega deal with. What's going on? What am I doing wrong? This has led to many of the media questioning his ability to be a quarterback at the highest level. I feel like a lot of people in this matter will jump to conclusions. And I'm just going off of what I read here. Colin Cowherd said that he has the deposition of a linebacker, despite being a former Heisman-winning singular seller in Oklahoma in 2017. Okay, I believe this is what Colin Cowherd mentioned. Baker Mayfield is bad at the podium. It has been established. Brady's been 23 years perfect at it. But the thing is, do you have to be perfect? Okay, let me continue reading this before I forget and get out of line. All right. It's not what happens on downs. It's that Brady understands the fundamental CEO nature of being a quarterback. Being a quarterback Baker. I contend Baker's a linebacker that plays quarterback. Okay, well, so you believe that he's okay. So Mayfield is not good at the podium talking. Do you have to? How we just assume, all right? We just assume that quarterbacks, when they are in the NFL, that they have to be the face of that franchise, and that they have to excel at every category in that books. Last football season, we were inundated with hyperbole. Okay, this is when Colin Cowherd starts yelling at things that I can't even announce here. Last football season, we were inundated with hyperbole aggrandizing Mayfield's toughness. He was, as we were so often reminded, playing through a hurt shoulder, and by God, what gutsy performance it was. As his teammate, Casey Keenum, so eloquently stated. Okay, so this is made from Colin Cowherd. I think that people need to realize, yeah, he was playing with an injury that was dated back early in the first month of the season. And since then, he tried to lead this ball team to the promised lands, back to the playoffs. Did that work? I don't think so. Obviously, we know, you and I know that didn't work. They didn't make it to the playoffs. Was there a decision at some point that, hey, if you knew that you weren't going to be in the postseason, okay, that you should have took a step back and say, hey, listen, I'm banged up. I need to get recovered so that next season I could come back at it. I agree with that. I don't think, I do feel that some people to overlook the fact that he was injured during the season, throughout 3/4 of the season, and now people assume that he is not a great quarterback. Now, I'm not saying, like, listen, great quarterback, it's not about playing through injuries that makes you a great quarterback. It's about knowing how to play through your injuries. It's about also knowing your limitations. You got to have your limitations. I feel, okay, I have to agree with this statement that was made. Like I said, you read on our Facebook page at TNC Sports Talk. Baker Mayfield went through injury. He's had success. and he's continued to have success. He's led the Browns. He's made one of the worst teams in franchise history. All right, the Cleveland Browns. He's led them up to a playoff win. Okay, something that is just, I don't know if any other quarterback could do so. Now, I give it, he has his flaws. He's not a good podium speaker. He likes to he likes to be on social media when he does it, when he shouldn't be on social media. He likes to do things that he probably shouldn't be doing. But he's not a bad quarterback. All right. Okay. Does it concern you? If I was Baker Mayfield and I had Deshaun Watson coming in after his allegations were claimed, and that the fact that the Browns are willing to take that risk, and that it's not just a 1-year deal, it's that long-term 5-year, $230 million contract deal. If the Browns are willing to, take that onto their shoulders, then how do they view me? The Browns haven't came to Baker Mayfield and say, hey, listen, I like what you're doing, but this is where I need you to work on. Can you please stay off of social media? Can you please get better so we could help you? There's been no proper communication among either fields, and what Baker Mayfield's doing doesn't help. It puts salt in the wound. Let me put it that way. Stay off of social media. Go sit down with the Cleveland Browns. Find the expectations, because now they ain't going to trade you. Now the Cincinnati or the Cleveland Browns. That the Cleveland Browns, I'm going to sneeze again. That the Cleveland Browns are not going to trade you. Let me put it that way, because they still don't know what the punishment is for Deshaun Watson. All right. They took this list because just like Deshaun Watson, you have it's like Trevor Bauer. The court has made a decision, regardless of what the court claims to prove, because most of the time they prove that it's not guilty. The organization that you play for, like baseball, MLB, and NFL, has the right to conduct their own investigation and put down their own punishment. Now, just because you are innocent by the court system doesn't mean you're innocent by the law, and definitely by the NFL. So we are still waiting for what the punishment will be for Deshaun Watson. Therefore, whether it's 6 games, whether it's 4 or 5 games, I don't know. I could care less. I feel like that's a controversy of its own, and I know we will address that when the time comes. But one thing that you do need to know is that Baker Mayfield, the Browns are going to need a quarterback while Deshaun Watson's out. And why would you give up a quarterback that will play consistent in Baker Mayfield? That's one problem. The last one before we cut the break here is the fact that Baker Mayfield is getting paid a tremendous amount of money. What team out there wants to pick up a quarterback like Baker Mayfield and have to unload? Realistically, does Cleveland Browns, are they willing to? How much of that contract? I believe it's like $14 million. How much of that $14 million are they willing to eat up? Honestly. And that really doesn't put the foot in their mouth. They might just keep it if that's the case, because you're going to pay Baker Mayfield $10 to $11, $12 million to play against you. No. Okay. Because Seattle ain't going to cough up that $14 million. Now, I mean, they may no more than offer 3 out of that deal. But no, but the Browns are going to be at the shitty end of this deal, because they're going to have to eat up most of that contract. So that's my statement on Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns. I do agree to the point, but we know that the Cleveland Browns are stuck with Baker Mayfield, at least of right now. I don't see why he has to get cut, because then the Cleveland Browns are going to have to pay him. If you're going to pay him anyways, you might as well just play him, especially right now as Deshaun Watson is awaiting approval. All right, NBA and NHL coming to you guys next. What did the Warriors and Grizzlies do as the Grizzlies took game 2, 106 to 101? NHL, I told you that the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Rangers were going to be a really good one. It did not disappoint. All that still comes your way. TNC Sports Talk Justin and Trey continues here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Hour number 2 of Justin and Trey is given to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek.com. Before you buy your next event tickets, get your next ball game, head out to your next concert, make sure you check out SeatGeek.com. And today, when you check them out, if you guys use promo code TNC Sports Talk on your first purchase, $50 or more, you guys can save 20% off. That's 20% off with your first purchase of $50 or more with promo code TNC Sports Talk. Kind of interested now to do this one thing here. I'll look to it on our next break. I want to see what the Cyclones did back yesterday as they faced their game 7 here. Now, we're just going to work our way through. There we go. While we are also giving away or talking about our sponsorships here, do you guys hear about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions have came out today, this morning, and you got a weird class of inductions here. So let me just trying to pop up the inductions, the class of 2022 Hall of Fame here. And so you got a handful of guys. Pat Benader, however you say his last name. Duran, Eminem, Eurythmics. You can't pronounce any names here. Dolly Parton, Lionel Richie, and Charlie Simon will be inducted to the class of 2022 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I guess one of my problems that I'm just trying to wrap my hand around. What does Eminem do? What did Eminem do to be inducted to the Hall of Fame of Rock and Roll at the end of the day? I find that interesting. So, Duran, I can see it. Dolly Parton took more of an old, this was more of a classical, rock and roll / country. Lionel Richie, Charlie Simmons. Excuse me. Pardon me. But Eminem, interesting matter or thought process on this. All right, so let's get. You know what? I was like, all right, where do we want to start off with? And I think we start off with NHL because NHL started this past earlier this week in the playoffs. And what we're seeing here, let's go. We could go back up. I want to say they started Sunday. Yeah, they started Monday. Okay, so gosh, I'm gonna open up a window here in a second. But Boston Bruins beat the Carolina Hurricanes, or lost to Carolina. Stanley Cup Finals, and I tell you that this is usually when you start watching hockey, when you start watching NBA, it's around the final times because that's where I kind of watch these sports. Okay, I know you are not going to catch me in the month of November or December that I would prefer to watch a basketball game or a hockey game over any other sports given to you. That's where I'm at. So back on Monday, the Stanley Cup Finals started, all right? And the first game that I tuned into, because these games do play later into the evening, was the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I wasn't too big. I wasn't watching the entire game. I didn't watch the entire game. But what I did do was catch bits and pieces. I catch the beginning of the Boston and the Carolina. It was tied at 0 when I watched it. And for me, what I noticed was the fact of the aggression that Boston came out. Now, I learned so many things in one game. Carolina has such a tremendous defense. Boston came in, they shoot a huge, they attack the puck tremendously, and I'm Sorry, people who have to see and hear that, but I need to clear my nostrils before I could come talk to you guys. So I was pretty invested, anyways, by what happened on Monday. I was like, all right, now I'm going to tune in. Now, one thing that really pointed my fairways here was actually last night, because one of the matchups that I've seen that I was looking forward to seeing is the history between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers. And it was the game to deliver. Yes, it's going to be. I think this is going to be one of the most hard, compelling series that we've seen in the first round of NHL Stanley Cup Finals. It went into 3 overtimes. Let me put it this way: a goal was taken away. It came down to the point where New York got up to an early 2-0 lead. Then Pittsburgh comes back and they end up tying the game. Then the Rangers in the third period, made a goal, but then that was taken away because they pushed the goalie out of their net. And I'm going to butcher this name till the cows come home. That's one thing. NHL players have such weird names. Evgeny Malkin wins in 3 overtimes, wins the game for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I think it was devastating because I know the fans were behind New York. I know that the fans, it was a heavy scoring period for both teams. Most of those points were scored in the second, goal period. I think there was a lot more emotions riding off to this if you are the New York Rangers, especially with that goal taken away from you in the third period. I think it literally had like 3 minutes left in the period before the game was over. Washington beats Florida. Colorado beats Nashville. Calgary beats Dallas. And that was the other scores for today's game, or for yesterday's game. Coming up tonight, which is going to be another interesting one, I'm going to try to tune into a little bit. That's going to be Boston and Carolina. Tampa Bay takes on Toronto at 7:30. Minnesota and St. Louis game 2 at 9:30. And the Los Angeles Kings takes on the Edmonton Oilers here at 10 p.m. And from what I've been told, that's going to be another amazing, incredible game to talk about. So I'm going to be tuning into that. Can't wait, because that was a close game back on game 1, 4-3. A lot of these games have been, the 4-2, 7-2. I believe I was looking at a couple other days here. For Toronto 5-0, St. Louis 4-0, Carolina 5-1. There was a lot of stuff that just progressed over there. Let's get right down into basketball, though. I think that's a pretty heaven start. I'm going to start off with with actually the second game, the game that I told you that was going to be a big series. The Boston Celtics needed to pick up a victory, and they over the Milwaukee Bucks after the Bucks destroyed the Celtics a couple of days ago. Let me go back to my notes here. Boston, where did Boston do? I have it right here somewhere. Maybe not. I thought I had it in my notes, but I didn't. But I know that Milwaukee beat Boston in the free game 1. I said, listen, I'm not that Boston. I told you that. Okay, I'm telling you, Boston was not going to go down 0-2. That's impossible. Boston is a favorite into the series. Now, I'm sure I'm choosing Boston. I don't know if they're. Listen, the problem is with Boston, I don't know if they're going to be able to really just get on the boost with the other, side of scoring here. I know that I was reading the news reports here for Boston, and what I read here was Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown scored 25 of his 30 points in the first half of yesterday's victory. All right. And this was only one game apiece. It's the playoffs. Brown says we can't let one game dictate how the series goes, and that is true. All right. Brown shook off a decimal shooting night on game 1. He only went 9 for 10 in the first half. including 5 for 5 from the 3-point line range. Jason Tatum added 19 points and 8 assists. Grant Williams finished with 21 points. Al Horford with 14 points, 11 rebounds. Out of these 2 games, all right, let's put it this way, because the next game says the series doesn't resume until Saturday, which will be the next game, which is kind of disappointing now, a couple of days without some basketball. But the next big series here, what I really had to, what I really enjoyed was actually watching, was seeing the next game was the bigger game, in my opinion. Golden State Warriors and Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I came on here and I mentioned to you guys, I was like, hey, listen, Boston and Milwaukee is going to probably be the biggest series of them all. And yeah, they're tied at 1 apiece, but that's not even my concern. You had Golden State Warriors who took game 1, but there was a lot more emotional draw to this game, to this series. The Grizzlies won game 2, 106 to 101. And I'm telling you, John Morant, all right, 47 points, 15 points with 4. He put 15 points up with 4 minutes and 16 seconds left in the game. All right. He finished with 18 points in the fourth quarter. 15 of those points came at the very end of the game, the last 4 minutes. All right. He is the 3rd player in league history to have multiple 45-point games in the postseason before turning 23. And I thought that was just mind-boggling. You look at this, the only other 2 guys that could do that in postseason history is LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. I remember talking about, I strictly remember talking about John Morant before on our show. Now, maybe I just haven't gotten enough attention to him. I don't know what it's going to take, but maybe this sparks that attention to follow John Morant and the Grizzlies a little closer. When you start throwing a young guy at the age of 23, who he's only been in the league for a couple of years, still a very young guy. He's putting up ridiculous numbers, and he's breaking down the 5th wall in the NBA. When he's doing that, and you are now comparing a guy like him to LeBron James, to Kobe Bryant. And what else can you say? For me now, it makes me kind of reevaluate what this Memphis Grizzlies team is, because coming into the season, into this series between the Grizzlies and the Warriors, I would have told you that, listen, I've seen the Grizzlies. I've seen the Grizzlies, kind of just go out there and they really just dominate. All right. They've been to the postseason the last 7 times. I have it somewhere here. I don't know if I've written it down. But I mean, is John Morant that good? I think he is. John Morant, he is one of those guys. Let me put it this way here. Zaire Williams, backup. Okay. He's put up 14 points off the bench. Jaren Jackson, who fouled out for the 3rd postseason so far, he's put up 12 points. Brandon Clark put up 10 points. Golden State Warriors. Let me give you some interesting facts here. Golden State Warriors has been to 7 semifinals in 10 years. 7 semifinals in 10 years, in 1 decade. Memphis Grizzlies, on the other hand, first series win was the last series that they played in 7 years. So I guess my question here, before we cut to break here, just how does this catch up? How much pressure is the Golden State Warriors, or is the Memphis Grizzlies are, knowing that the Golden State Warriors have the 7 years experience of playing in the semifinals, all right, compared to this is the first series that in 7 years that the Memphis Grizzlies could get out of? I want to know that. Morant becomes the first NBA player to score his team's final 15 points or more in the playoffs since James scored in the final 25 for Cleveland in Game 5 in the 2007 Eastern Conference Finals against Detroit. You're comparing John Morant now to LeBron James. the quote that John Morant had to say. That loss was on my mind a lot. Obviously, missing that layup late. Yeah. So you can see the comparison. Hey, I'm a young kid. I get that. I understand. I will make mistakes. He made a mistake back in game 1. Will he learn from the mistake? Yeah, I believe he will. But he sure made it up for it last night in 47 points and a win 106-101. And this is what's going to make I'm changing it. I was going to say that the Bucks and Celtics were going to be the series, but maybe it was going to be the conference series. I'm choosing the Bucks. I'm choosing the Warriors and the Grizzlies now as a series to go off of. Justin and Trey continues here right after this break.
Well, when I woke up, she was looking at me. She told me I've been cheating on her in her dream. Lord, it wasn't the thing I could do or say to change her mind any way. She told me that things was gonna change. If I wanted her, I couldn't stay the same. So I stopped going out on Friday night. I stopped drinking with the boys. Yeah, everything she asked, I left in the past.
All right, Justin and Trey here continues on TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Like I said, we just covered a lot of the sports: NBA basketball, baseball, football, everything that you need to know. Now we're going to get it right down into professional wrestling. I know there's not a lot of dramatic time here, but there's a couple stories that I will get to, that I want to get to. The Cyclones did lose, by the way, last night, ending their hockey season as they lost by the Walleye. So I just wanted to say, as a new refound hockey fan, you will see me out there next year. So one of the biggest things that I do want to make sure I address today. Okay, so two things I want to address today before we take our last ad break. WWE has banned words. I know it's not new. Okay, a lot of people have heard about that, but WWE has banned words. And here's a list of words that the WWE has banned here, and they just included a confirmed. So it was an article here. The new WWE ban word confirmed after this week. So after this week, they have newly. Okay, so it's been kept quiet for WWE list to have to ban words that be spoken from. Vince McMahon forbids wrestlers to on-screen, on-screen personalities to say to say on WWE programs. More than 30 words are banned. Terms were confirmed last year by Wrestling Observer Dave Meltzer in the centered phrases like getting over, babyface, okay, or heel. Meltzer noted that another one was added, non-title was added to this banned list of words. Recent years, phrases contenders match has frequently been used to mean the same thing with that addition. Here's an update. So I kind of wanted to scroll through this list just real quick for you guys on the 30 words that have been banned from the WWE for people to say on screen. Wrestling, wrestlers, belts, blood, choke, diva, strap, kayfabe, mofos, headshots, trauma, DQ, the anti-diva, spinal injuries, victim, violence/violent, WWF, wife beater, curb stomp, strange, or I knew I was going to mess up one of these. Strangle, kill, murder, kayfabe, house show, DQ, push, being over, babyface, heel, job or jobber, card, and now non-title. And I just look at some of these words. I'm like, man, you are grabbing them. You're grabbing them by the sack, you guys. You're really controlling what they say. If you're gonna control these athletes on what they can and can't say, you might just write their entire script for them and take all the element out away from it. But I digress. So if Armchair Booking here is listening, okay, I want to bring up to this topic here. There's two topics I want to hit up before the end of the hour, and this is number one. That's coming up right after this quick promotional ad. You guys could go check out and support future stars today at NWF Wrestling. See Adam Swayze, Rex, Sean Evans, Ella, Riley Matthews, Big Mama, The Great King Tyan, and a lot more as they show off their talent in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. Become a part of the NWF Army by heading out to their weekly events. Find more information at nwfwrestling.com. All right. Okay. I want to kind of now breakthrough here. I was listening to Armchair Booking's podcast the other day, and he made some really good points. They were talking about the WWE's handful of releases. Now, it seems to me that the WWE is trying to beat the guys to the punch when it comes down to releases. There's a lot of guys that's been one of the things that we've noticed, or I've noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong. One of the things that I've noticed is that there are a handful of athletes that have been released, so-called fired, but they weren't going to renew their contract anyways. All right. One of the guys that Ember Moon is probably one of the prime examples. I heard an interview the other day that Ember Moon made back a while back, talking about her release, and she was scheduled to be in the WWE for like a year and a half. And her contract was coming up in about like 6 to 9 months, and she was getting offered. She was offered 5 times more than what she was originally making. Like she was offered a ridiculous amount, but she was like, you know what, I'm not happy with this, so I'm not going to accept this contract. I'm going to let my time expire and then determine what I want to do from there. Well, the WWE let her go prior to that. I hear all these times, things like Dakota Kai being released. And I think that's one thing that's frustrating for me is, you start growing on the fan. I'm a huge fan of Dakota Kai. I really do enjoy Dakota Kai and her performance, especially as of late. The one thing I think is frustrating is, like Armchair Bookings mentioned, these guys are in actually big storylines in NXT. And then then out of nowhere, they just get released. And it's like, what do you expect to do with these storylines? At least find a way to write them off of television. I was enjoying Dexter Lumis and Persea Piota and their entertainment. I really enjoyed what they were doing. I'm wondering, why are they getting rid of them? Dakota Kai, why are they getting rid of them? I'm wondering, okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm wondering if any of this has to do with them deciding not to resign. I mean, Dwayne from Armchair Booking made a great point the other day. Dakota Kai, she's been with the industry. She's in her 30s, and she's been with the industry since 2017 and the Mae Young Classic, and she's seen women come before her or come after her, win title, and then go on to WWE. Now, I feel like Dakota Kai is one of those females that she should have been brought up with Raquel Gonzalez. All right, after a feud that we wanted, finally reuniting with Raquel Gonzalez for NXT Takeover. I mean, people loved it. Why didn't you bring that up to the main roster? Give them a shot. I mean, I'd rather have you give them a shot in the main roster before you decide that, hey, it's not going to work out. because down in NXT, you're doing everything that they said. There are 8 people that were released in the NXT. Draco Anthony, Sanjana George, Persea Piota, Harland, Paige, Dexter Loomis, Malcolm Bevins, Dakota Kai. As much as I could get frustrated at WWE, I feel like it's also sometimes it's time for a change. If this is not the direction that they want them to go in, and maybe they got to make them. I don't know. I can't explain certain stories along this, but and I was talking to Steve yesterday about this. I was like, Steve, compare this to, I believe I was talking to Steve about this. I think I was comparing WWE to the no contract clause. All right, so they have this no contract clause, and I want to actually, I'm going to pull up the article because I want to find it. Where did I have it? All right. So I was texting him and I was like, you're explaining how Dwaylen was explaining his show. And I'm not going to fill in too much content. You got to go back and listen to this. You're talking about the recent releases, and the way that they were explaining it sounds like the college football schemes in the transfer portal. It's just one thing that, WWE is so undetermined whether you want to be released or you don't. I mean, we've seen Mustafa Ali, who's asking for his release for some time. He got rejected, and therefore he got sent down to get paid to stay at home. And some of these people, they get rejected the release, and then when they do get released, they get rejected the release. And then when they do get the release, they get told, hey, you have to wait 60 to 90 days. And it gets frustrating because that's time that you're wasting on becoming somebody, and that opportunity may have gone to somebody else in the meantime. You talk about comparisons to college football, where college kids, young kids, don't get that say. If they go sign to a team, they can't transfer to another team. Some players, kids are not allowed to. Sometimes in their scholarship programs that they sign, there's no transfer portal. AEW also allowed some contracts to end yesterday. Joey Janela, Jack Evans, Marco Stent, and Stu Grayson. I mean, here's why I take on this. I feel like this is where I feel like competition. I feel like egos start feeding the best of them. AEW, I get it. It's been a few years. They're going to start moving in the direction that they want to go into. Some people don't work out for them. And I understand that sometimes you sign somebody or you hire someone, it doesn't work out for someone. I'm not worried about the 90-day grace period. Give them at least a year. Give them at least 2 years. All right. I feel like the developmental stage, if you are just getting into the business, the developmental program should only be there for a certain period of time. Then it needs to be like, all right, if you're not ready to move up, then you're not moving up. All right. There's just nothing working for you. All right. The only people that belong in NXT 2.0 are veterans from the main roster coming down to help out the younger talent, or the retired veterans that are working with them, or the younger talent. And when I say developmental, because we know NXT 2.0 is a developmental area, they are precise to 2 number of years of experience. All right. If we're going to put you on television, we're going to give you 3 to 5 years. If you're not developed by then, either you're developing, we're going to push you, or you're not. And I feel like some of these people like Dexter Loomis and Dakota Kai, have been in the business in NXT for so long that it's almost that window of opportunity has kind of faded away. Now, if you're asking me, I could figure out 100 things to do with Dexter Lumis and Dakota Kai. I can see what you could do with Malcolm Bevins. But to sit there and just initiate to give them away, I mean, listen, let's bring in some new people. Let's develop them. Let's see what they are, or let's see what they're about. And the only thing I can say on this behalf is I wish the absolute best of luck to Dakota Kai. She's a great talent athlete. She will have success wherever she decides to go. I hope she could go to a company. I would not recommend going to AEW. I will say that, because have you not seen what they've done to talent after they signed them? Half of them don't even show up anymore. So I feel like if Dakota Kai wants to go to AEW, okay, AEW will put her in the spotlight for a month or two, and then she'll be down in dark matches. And there you go. Once again, she deserves to be on television week in and week out. I'd rather see her on Impact Wrestling. I'd rather see her on the Ring of Honor. I'd rather see her on, AAA or even New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's my take on it. Do you guys also know about this? All right. I saw something interesting. Nikki Ash. Let's talk about her real quick. She's the first woman to ever win the Raw Women's Championship, Women's Tag Team Championship, and the 24/7 Championship. And let's not forget the Money in the Bank. Okay, an article posted out about Nikki Ash making history and might be ready to drop the superhero gimmick. And I'm hoping. Listen, we saw back on Monday Dewdrop paying a visit to her. All right, we saw Dewdrop just sitting, and there's initiation that I would love to see Nikki Cross come back, because Dewdrop approached her and said, "Hey, are you ready to take things seriously?" Now, these two women, I had to do some research, but these two women have done things in the past, and I'm actually very excited. There's a new spark in seeing what these two people could do, because Dewdrop has not been on television for like the last 7-8 weeks. Nikki Ash has been thrown from ever since the Rhea Ripley breakup in the tag team. She's been kind of just thrown out there when and ever, and she's such a great talent. She's so talented. Dewdrop, Nikki Cross. I can see them reuniting. I'm excited about it. I'm actually eager to see what. Drop the gimmick. I think you've done what you can do with the gimmick. Give out, bring back Nikki Cross. Bring back that. What is that? Are they? I was reading it and I don't know where I saw it. I believe like they're both Scottish or something like that. And I would just say, bring them back. I'm ready for them to, and it's like, okay, well, because the question is what were you going to do with both women? All right, how were you going to continue with Nikki Ash, and how were you going to continue with Dewdrop, especially haven't seen her for a while? I say this is how you do it. Okay, this is definitely the great way to do it. All right, and I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Liv Morgan vows to buy fans tickets after WWE takes away his sign. He puts a WWE fan brings up a sign, says Liv sold this seat. All right. Because people bought the seat, bought the ticket to go see her. All right. And apparently the WWE took it away from her. And since then, so WWE just took my y'all only Liv Morgan sign after I spent $600 on this front row seat and wouldn't tell me why. It took a long time to make it, and I wanted to support you, Liv. I'm sorry. Okay, so he made a sign, took forever to make it. He bought front row seat, $600, brought this sign, and WWE took it away. All right, Liv Morgan put on Twitter, "Thank you so much. I love you and appreciate it. Reach out to me next time we're in town. Tickets on me." Isn't that just amazing? I want to see that. When I see that follow through, that's going to be something else. All right, last thing I want to leave off with you guys today before we wrap up and end our show here. All right, Sportsgator, listen out. You guys can read this article on the TNC Sports Talk Facebook page. Is NXT star Solo Sikoa destined to be a part of the bloodline? Since NXT's transformation of 2.0 version of the brand, several names have emerged as potential being fast-tracked into the Glory main roster. You guys got like Braun Breaker, Solo Sikoa, definitely the mindset. Then there's Solo Sikoa to emerge the WWE's undeniable future. Okay, we know that he's WWE bound. Solo Sikoa took his loss this week after being pinned by champion Cameron Grimes in a three-way dance for the North American title. Carmelo Hayes was the other challenger in the contest. Still, it wasn't a victory for a loss that eliminated where Sikoa stands right now. It was the reaction from the crowd, and I feel like the crowd wants the same thing. What do you guys think? Does Sikoa need to be in the main roster? But I think that's a question for definitely down the road for continuing the conversation on another day. We're going to jump into it. We're just getting started here this week. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on a 5-day week here for you as well. I have a guest coming up Sunday night. Stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on our new application, our new streaming services from Spreaker. All right. And thank you guys for tuning in. That's all the time we have for Justin and Trey. I'm Justin, on behalf of the entire crew. We'll see you guys tomorrow.